My friend Nancy gave me a big hug for good luck. As soon as she came out of the locker room, one of the dancers told me to be careful with Nancy because she liked girls. What did she mean by that? She was seen with a brunette over the weekend. They were hugging, she added pointedly. Come on, I had been friends with Nancy since childhood, and I was not going to let someone spread stupid gossip about her. I wanted to say this, but it was time to go on stage and my ballet partner Ray was late. I stood backstage and dialed his number for the 5th time. Come on, pick up the phone. Our names were announced. Oh no. What should I do? This was the main exam after 4 years of study. I couldn't go on stage alone. But suddenly Nancy came running up to me in a man's ballet costume. What was happening? Nancy said that Ray had pulled his ligaments, but she would perform in his place because Nancy had been to all the rehearsal and knew the dance. She put her arm around me too gently, I thought. And at that moment, for some reason, I remembered the words from the locker room. Nancy likes girls. But that couldn't be true. We went on stage and I tried to give my best, and we did it. The jury was delighted that the role of the partner was played by a girl and offered to perform at the reporting concert. I almost fainted with happiness. After all, they choose dancers for the National Theater. This was my dream. Maybe I could even become a world star. The concert was only 5 days away, but I was sure that we would have time to prepare. In the locker room, Nancy hugged me again and offered to walk me home, because it was already dark outside. It was strange. I hesitated a little but still agreed. All the way we walked in silence for some reason, but when we reached my house, Nancy suddenly took my hand and said she had an important question. She hesitated for a moment as if embarrassed, and then timidly asked if I would agree to live with her. God, did my best friend just ask me out? I refused to believe it. I was confused and muttered that I would give an answer after our performance. After all, a sharp refusal could hurt her. Nancy said she'd wait as long as she had to. Then she reached out to give me her usual kiss on the cheek. But I pulled away and quickly went into the house. I couldn't sleep a wink all night. Maybe I just misunderstood something. She couldn't possibly like girls. We used to talk about cute guys at school. Over and over again, I replayed various memories in my head. I used to spend all my time at Nancy's, and we could spend hours doing each other's hair. We were so close that everyone thought we were sisters. Maybe Nancy was just lonely after her parents got divorced because of the rehearsals. We spent less time together. I decided to fix it and have a real girl's day, just like before. I picked up Nancy in the morning to take her to the beauty parlor. She was delighted and said that she would be happy to spend the day together. In the parlor, Nancy immediately offered to go for a couples massage. Looked like she was really hitting on me. I wasn't ready for this. To get out of it, I told her I wanted to go to the spa first, and Nancy could do some gorgeous curls for now. Nancy was surprised, but went to the barber's chair. Meanwhile, I put my feet in the fish bath and looked at the jewelry stand. What a cool emerald hairpin! Nancy's voice brought me back to reality. I couldn't believe my eyes. Instead of curling her hair, she got it to look like a boy. What? But Nancy was very pleased. She said that now she would be even better to embody the role of my partner. In the dance, she added hastily. Did she want to look like a guy to please me? No, it was stupid. I lied about needing to get home and left. On the way, I got a text from my friend Mike. He invited me to a pool party. I was about to say that I wasn't up to it, but here was an idea. There would probably be a bunch of guys out there with their pumped up torsos. Maybe Nancy would like someone. Maybe Mike. Girls stick to him. I called Nancy and invited her to the party, but she said she had other plans. I blurted out that everyone would be wearing swimsuits. Even you? She asked suddenly. Yeah. Nancy immediately agreed. Did she want to see me in a bikini? But she had seen me on the beach 100 times. What if her infatuation with girls started recently? Then it could still be fixed. As soon as we arrived, I introduced Nancy to Mike. I told her what a great guy he was and that he once protected me from some assholes who wanted to take my phone. But today, the conversation with Mike didn't go well. For some reason, he was embarrassed and didn't pay any attention to Nancy. But then I noticed that Mike was standing on the edge of the pool, and I thought of something. Now you will have to communicate. I sort of accidentally bumped Nancy, and she and Mike went flying into the water. The guests screamed, and for some reason, Nancy pretended to be drowning. It was so ridiculous. And while Mike was splashing awkwardly, a girl by the pool helped Nancy out. Soon they were chatting pleasantly on the deck chairs. Nancy even hugged her new friend. I couldn't believe my eyes. Apparently, Nancy really liked girls. And this was serious. Confused, I drove home. Has Nancy been friends with me all these years because she really liked me? I couldn't believe I hadn't noticed it for so many years. I got upset. I didn't want to see Nancy at all. But I was only one day away from the show. I had no choice. So the next morning, I packed up and went to rehearsal. During rehearsal, I almost cringed every time Nancy touched me. I was so fixated on it that I lost my balance during the next carry. And we both fell to the floor. In the locker room, Nancy said she understood that I was worried about the concert. Then she added that she wanted to cheer me up. She pulled out an emerald hairpin, the same I looked at then in the beauty parlor. It turned out that Nancy noticed this. And I wondered, how many guys were so attentive to me? I had a crazy thought in my head. What if we really would make a couple? After all, many relationships start with friendship. That evening, I decided to take Nancy for a walk in the park as an experiment, and she immediately agreed. God, what am I doing? Nancy glowed with happiness. She brought my favorite cookie. It was very nice. But I still couldn't relax. Then Nancy asked me if I thought about it. I hesitated. But then someone ran up to us. Mike. I hadn't seen him since the party, and I certainly hadn't expected to see him here. He was excited and said he had lost his puppy. We immediately agreed to help with the search. We decided to split up, but Mike asked me to go with him because he was in the park for the first time. Nancy went the other way, and after 15 minutes, she sent a message that she urgently needed to go home. She must have been annoyed that Mike had ruined our date. I didn't know what to do. Mike noticed this and tried to cheer me up in every possible way, asking me a lot about ballet. He said that he had been to my performance once and he liked it very much. And then he added that he understood how exhausting rehearsals could be, because he himself was engaged in swimming. I didn't think he understood me so well. We went all over the park, but the puppy was nowhere to be found. It was just an excuse to be alone with me. Because before that, we only saw each other at parties. But after that meeting at the pool, he realized that he wanted to communicate with me more closely. What the hell? But I liked Mike's attention. Embarrassed, Mike asked me on a date tomorrow, after the concert. I was confused and blurted out that we should talk after the performance. But God, that's when I had to give Nancy an answer. I just didn't know what to do, as if I was caught in the middle. Nancy was always easy for me, but Mike was so confident and determined. I was totally confused. I lied to Mike that I'd remembered something important and rushed home. I couldn't sleep all night. Did I have to choose between Nancy and Mike? Because of these thoughts, even the performance took back seat. But when I went to the locker room in the morning, Nancy wasn't there. Looked like she was really offended. She did answer the phone. Did I have a partner again? Our names were announced. It was definitely a failure. Suddenly Nancy came running up to me, out of breath. She apologized for being late and we rushed to the stage. Despite the fact that I was preparing for the worst, on stage, we were like one. I couldn't believe until the last moment we had succeeded. We were already bowing when suddenly the jury offered me a role in the production. I'd been dreaming about this for years, but now I didn't feel happy. As soon as we went backstage, Nancy congratulated me on the role and then asked if I had thought about her offer. I thought, Nancy, I want to say that I didn't have time to finish. Someone called me. It was Mike with a bunch of flowers, and he was coming here. It was time to decide. To be honest, after yesterday's walk, I realized that I really liked Mike. I'd like to date him a lot more than Nancy. In tears, I told her we couldn't be a couple. Nancy wondered what I was talking about, that you're in love with me, and I can't reciprocate. But Nancy suddenly laughed. Through her laughter, she said that I had misunderstood something. What about a short haircut? And the girl by the pool? Nancy explained that she had always wondered if a short haircut would suit her. And that girl helped her out of the pool, and that she was actually drowning. And it was strange that I didn't notice it. So Nancy wasn't faking it then? Wait, why did we have to live together? And who was the brunette you were hugging? Nancy couldn't stop laughing. She looked out the door and called out to someone. A guy with long dark hair came up to us. That's my brunette, Nancy said, and added that he was often mistaken for a girl. Then Nancy explained everything. She and her boyfriend recently started dating and even rented an apartment, but they urgently needed to find a neighbor in the second room, so she thought I might move in with them. I wanted to sink into the ground with shame. How could have I imagined such a thing? Mike decided to change the subject and said that he also wanted me to meet someone. He bought a puppy yesterday, and now we could walk in the park every day. I agree, but only if we walk in pairs.